Hi there, I'm Rebecca Radice, and this is Breakthrough Social Media Success, an interview series where I chat with today's most successful business owners, savvy entrepreneurs, and powerhouse professionals. And boy, do I have a treat for you today. The goal of this series is really to invoke passion and purpose into your online presence, plus offer actionable tips, tools, and techniques that you can infuse right into your business. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you my guest today, Sabrina Gibson. Sabrina, I had a very difficult time, I'll be real honest with you, putting together even just a little mini bio because it's just so extensive. It's amazing what you have done in your 19 years in internet marketing. But just to be brief about it, and then you can tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know that you have built just an amazing system through social networking abundance. You've trained literally thousands of business professionals across the globe, helping them integrate and really leverage social media and social networking in a way that truly generates results. And when you think about true ROI on social media, Sabrina Gibson is the one woman I know that can truly show you how to harness the power of social media. So Sabrina, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Wow, I love you, Rebecca. Thank you for that amazing intro. Wow, that was really cool. I was like, man, this person's cool. Who is she?
I want to get to know her.
Talking about me.
Well, and you know that I believe there are so many reasons to love you, but beyond the fact that I am lucky enough to not only call you friend, call you mentor, but you are also my business partner. And so thank you again for taking the time out of your busy day to share some of the amazing things that not only you've done within your business, but you're doing currently.
Well, I would do anything for you, Rebecca. So I'm just honored to be here and train with you.
Well, likewise. So, tell us a little bit about what makes you an expert and what makes you an expert within your area of expertise?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is for me, at the end of the day, it's not just coming up with theories about how things might work. It's actually testing them and implementing them in a way that actually generates the results. So, I started a long time ago before we had the internet. I mean, I know that's shocking, but we were growing businesses from startup all the way into $1 million sales levels. And how did we do it? We did it doing systems. We did it through straight networking and being really good about following up. And if you look at what's happening online today, it's the same thing. It's just that people forget because there's a computer that they forget there's actually human beings there that they can actually network with. And at the end of the day, what is it about? It's about building really quality relationships and really understanding how you might be able to solve problems for other people. So really, that's all social media for me is been able to do, is we just been able to accelerate the progress that we made with startup companies utilizing the tools online. I mean, it's just everything's moving faster than it's ever moved.
Isn't that the truth? It's moving at a lightning pace, and I love what you said about solving problems because I think a lot of people miss that opportunity. They forget that what we're there to do on social media is to communicate, create conversation, but also be a resource. So when you look at the people that you're working with on a daily basis, what kind of challenges are they dealing with and what problems are you solving?
Yeah, I think there are the same problems that businesses have always faced with, and that is having effective marketing and not running out of money. I mean, those are the two biggest reasons why a company fails. And today it's happening even more so. And a lot of it's just because we're feeling distracted. We're feeling overwhelmed with all the technology that's come into place. And, really to cut through the clutter, cut through the confusion is to create a system, a step-by-step system that not only is manageable, but actually generates results. And at the end of the day, a business is looking for exposure. Oftentimes they're looking for quality prospects, and they're looking to how to convert those prospects into customers or clients. And I think what's happening is that they might get one or two of the pieces. They might be really good at exposure, but they're not really sure how to attract the right people, or worse, they'll get a ton of traffic to them and they don't know how to convert it into a client. We've all heard how the internet's supposed to work for us 24/7, and people aren't really sure how to do that. They're not really sure how to get their website to convert in a way that actually builds a community. And that's really what I think that, I've been always focused on is being able to naturally lead someone through a process that creates a relationship, and whether it's a referral a situation where someone's actually referring business to you, or if it's a situation where you're actually generating business from that person. So either way, you're generating business. It just may not be a direct, referral type of situation, or a direct client situation.
Well, and I think that's just one of the many areas where you are just so brilliant at being able to walk people through how to really harness the power of online marketing, and not looking at it as just as you call it, a one-off tactic. So it's not just about popping over here on Facebook or being over here on Twitter. It's really about that integrated system that you're talking about. And you got me to thinking, as you were talking about the overwhelm that can really come with social media, for that business professional. Maybe they're a healthcare provider, maybe they're a speaker or an author, and they're looking to get the word out and just feeling totally overwhelmed with where to begin, where they should be spending their time. What would be your biggest piece of advice to that person?
Yeah, I think a lot of times what happens is people are in that, and thank you, by the way, you're always so generous with me with your compliments, so I appreciate that. But I think what happens with businesses is that they want to go into a go mode, right? Like, oh, social media, let's go. Instead of saying to themselves, wait, on your mark, get set, and then go. And they forget that on your mark, which is really having a plan, right? I mean, it'd be much like us building a house without a plan. There might not be a foundation, and then we might build 20 rooms inside of that are all 2 by 2, and then maybe the bathroom is somewhere in the middle of the kitchen, and it won't make sense, it won't function right, and it might cost us a lot of money to fix it. The same thing's happening in social media, as people are in that go mode, and they wonder why they're turning people off, or they're wondering why people are not actually playing with them. And at the very beginning, what I recommend for every company is to start with a plan. And I have a simple 3x3 plan that we can share, and that is, if you look at a 3x3 plan, you first start with who your specific targets are. And you heard me say targets, and then you also heard me say specific, and that's where a lot of people get in trouble, because a lot of times we'll ask people, this, we hear it all the time, who's your target market? Oh, anybody and everybody. Really? So you're talking about a newborn child is a perfect target market. Well, no. Someone who actually can spend money. Oh, okay, so what age does that look like? But it's being really specific, and the more specific people are, the better the results. My friend Mark Victor, my friend Mark Victor Hansen says that you have to have a niche to get rich. And if you look at that as being very specific, and here's the example. Rebecca, if I were to say, hey, refer anybody to me, are there any names that really come to your mind? Probably not. I mean, you're like, what does she mean? What does she mean, anybody? Well, of course I know a lot of people, but why am I recommending them? And if you get really specific, if I were to say to you, hey, do you know anybody in Southern California that's a CPA that deals specifically with small business owners? Or do you know of a speaker who's a woman that you've seen at a networking event that has a book? Those are very specific targets. And if you become known as the person to help those markets, people will naturally start to refer business to you. They may not even know what problems you solve, which leads me to the next point. You want to think about 3 or 4, and in this case it's 3 because we're doing a 3x3 plan. You want to think about 3 problems that you solve, 3 very specific problems you solve. So in the case of the woman that's a speaker that has a book, you might solve the problem of her being able to sell more copies of her book, or for her to be able to get more exposure, or her to land more speaking engagements. So there's lots of problems that you could solve for that specific target market. And then finally, you want to have goals. What is it that you'd like to accomplish? Before you get into social media, you have to know what you want to get out of social media, and people forget that. So you've got to have 3 specific goals. Do you want to build a list? Do you want to generate more sales? Do you want to sell more books? Do you want to, whatever it happens to be, you want to be very specific. If you start with that in mind, just that simple 3x3 plan before you get into social media, you'll save yourself a ton of time, a ton of money, and a ton of frustration.
Well, you just you just gave a ton of just enormously valuable information, and I want to stick with that just for a second because, I'm a firm believer the riches are in the niches. The more you can niche down, the better you can speak to that audience of one, the better you can serve their needs. And you gave such a great illustration of how to clearly express who it is you help. Who it is that you're assisting on a daily basis, and then how others can be a resource to you in really finding those people. So maybe give people an idea of how they can use social media to find their target market.
Well, I'm going to give you an example just by telling you a story of an actual client. We have a client named Connie Harriman, and she came to us. She had no social media in place, and she's a corporate productivity expert. So if you can imagine, she was going into large companies, helping them with their productivity, their efficiency, making things move faster and make more money in less time, right? I mean, that's really essentially what she was doing. Here's what's a funny story about it is that she knew that blogging was a value, that she should probably be sharing her expertise and how she can help people through a blog. And she thought she had, a feather in her cap because her husband's a developer. And if you've ever had friends or family try to help you with things, sometimes it's not exactly the most pleasant experience. And in this case, that was really what proved to be true. So what happened was they started to fight, and they ended up sleeping in separate rooms. And that's about the time she called us. And we started to talk with her a little bit about setting up a foundation online and really getting clear about our 3x3 plan and what she really wanted to accomplish. And so within 6 months of blogging, she was actually recognized by her entire industry and was flown to Amsterdam, if you can imagine, to be a guest blogger for them. Instant international recognition within her industry. On top of it, because she was focused on a very specific keyword that she wanted to rank for, a little tiny company called Microsoft happened to recognize their company and did an entire symposium on them. Since then, so it's been 3 years ago, she's still ranking page 1, position 1 for her particular keyword phrase that she went after. And in addition, she's been flown to Singapore twice, once as a blogger and once as a speaker. So I don't know if that would help any business out there in terms of getting their brand recognized or generating more business, but for Connie, it certainly made a big difference. And it all started by just having the plan, being focused, and then putting the foundation in place to make that happen. So I always love just to tell real examples, and I mean, I could tell you 100 of those if we had all day.
Yeah, no, and I love that story. Because it really does. I think it shows, the proof is in the pudding. If you have a system in place, you work the system, it will work for you. But the struggle, obviously, is really putting together a comprehensive plan, a strategy that really encompasses everything that you have available online. And one of the, I guess, things that I really feel differentiates you against any competition out there is you do have that all-inclusive, that holistic approach to online marketing, where it's not just maybe you should be over here, over here, over here. It's putting a foundation in place that supports that kind of growth, that kind of exciting opportunity that Connie had, but it only came because she was willing to put those details in place. She was willing to take your advice, obviously, and allow you to kind of walk her through that process. But it's really exciting to see those results that happen when you actually allow that system to work on your behalf. You talk a lot about, and I've seen you speak multiple times, and you talk a lot about social media and how it really creates a conversation, but it can only do that if we truly understand what the purpose of social media is. So explain to us a little bit about, and maybe share with us your story behind that, how you define social media.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, I think what happens is, with every technology that I've been involved with, in 19 years, you can imagine all the tools that I've got to play with. people throw their common sense out the window when they start to use this thing called technology, which is, or internet marketing or whatever label you want to put on it. And really, it's about putting common sense back into the conversation. And if you look at social media from a common sense point of view, and I'm a simple girl. I look at social media and I just break the two words up. Social really implies that it's shared, right? We're in a social environment. If we go to a party, that's a social event. If we go to a networking event, that's a social event. So it means that there's more than one person involved. The second word is media. If we just look at what does media mean to us? Media could be a TV show, it could be a radio show, it could be a video, it could be an article, it could be anything. I mean, that's really what media is. So social media really is implied as shared content. And that's really what we look at. So the content is what drives the conversation. I mean, you're the master at it. I've never seen content created in such a way that evokes emotions and engages people and delivers education. And that, at the end of the day, it's like no one likes to be the salesperson. And I have met one person that said, when I grow up, I want to be a salesperson. No one's ever said that, right? There's lots of people who want to be teachers, or they want to be influencers, or they want to make a mark on the world, or be inspirational, or whatever it happens to be. But really, at the bottom line of it is it's education. So really, social media is just about educating people, and you say it best as being a resource to them, being that trusted advisor where they know that they can count on you for the answers as it relates to the 3 specific problems that you solve. Right? It goes back to that plan again.
Well, I just love that explanation every time I hear you give it. And you are truly, you're a teacher, you're an educator, but you're more than that. You're a problem solver. And I love how you use social media to really identify, what is your target market, what are their needs, what are the problems, the challenges they're facing right now. And you get that content, right in their face. So maybe share with us some of your how-tos, how you're using social media within your business, and how that could translate for any business professional out there.
For me, Rebecca, and I'll tell you, there's something, and I'm just going to be really authentic here for a second. I've been very absent with my own social media, which is a huge no-no. And I did it a little bit intentionally and then a little bit unintentionally. It kind of started off that I was like, I'll get to it, and then I didn't. And then I've always been proud of the fact that I've always been a product of my own teaching, and lately I haven't been. And I'm about ready to rebrand and really get on top of my game again. But I'm glad I did it. I have to be very honest with you, because what I discovered was that you absolutely cannot be absent in your social media. And when you are, what happens is you lose the momentum, you lose that interaction, you lose the conversation, and you allow your competitors or other people to step in and become that trusted advisor. People are looking to be connected. I always used to tell people, if you think social media is going away, you're crazy, because what is the first sound that we all heard as a human being? We heard boom, 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 boom. We heard the heartbeat of our mother. And whether you love your mother, hate your mother, if you were rich, poor, if your mom was sick, if she was well, if she was, didn't matter what race she was, we all had to be connected in order to get here. And social media is really about being connected. And the minute you disconnect from your social media efforts, you lose the audience, you lose your community. But on top of my game, I can tell you that when you consistently deliver value and you give, and you educate, and you do it in a way that naturally allows people to engage, ask questions, feel safe with you, there's all kinds of things. I've been invited into a billion-dollar company to come in and build their social media agency out internally. I've been asked to speak on numerous stages with some of the most recognized faces, Les Brown and T. Harv Eker and Alex Mandosi, and some of the most recognized, trusted people in the industry, and I get to go and speak with them. So the opportunities are massive, but the minute that you disconnect and you aren't consistent with your efforts is when you lose momentum. Now, fortunately, I have a very forgiving and loving audience, and having trained 3,000 people, they naturally just will re-engage with me. But it's not what I recommend, and I love being authentic. There's nothing that I I share exactly who I am and what I'm doing, right and wrong. I mean, we're human beings, and I think at the end of the day, I'm a great example, and I'll be a great example of how you can reignite and reposition yourself and reinvent yourself as a brand online, and really re-engage the audience that you've always had. They're begging, they're begging you to communicate with them and to connect with them, because we're all seeking for that connection. I mean, that's why gangs and churches and associations and groups, and it's why women go to the bathroom together. It's because we all have that deep desire to be truly connected to one another. And that's what's so powerful about social media. You make that one connection with that one person, and you've got them for life.
Well, and I think you make so many great points, but it's very encouraging to that person or that business professional or even that brand that has been absent, hasn't created consistency, that there's always the opportunity to start over, start fresh, start new. And the key to doing that is really putting that plan in place, like you talk about, that will create consistency so that it doesn't ever happen again. You're not struggling every single day to figure out, what am I talking about? Where am I supposed to show up? Where should I be spending my time? You know the answers to all of those questions. So it's almost effortless to actually get on social media, share that quality content like you're talking about, and then do it day in and day out. But for that business that maybe they've struggled to be consistent, they've struggled to find their audience, they're struggling to really find value with social media, period, because that's probably one of the biggest things we hear. Is I'm just not getting anything out of social media. I'm not feeling as if people are engaging with me, or I'm not feeling like my content is hitting the mark. What would be your recommendation to somebody with, that's giving you that type of feedback?
Yeah, for me, at the end of the day, if it's not working, it's not working. And, we can point fingers, we can, make up all kinds of stories as to why it's not. At that point, you just start over. You start from the beginning, and you treat it as if you've never, ever tackled it before. This is a great time to bring outside people in that really have, I can look at somebody else's stuff and tell you 60,000 things that they could do better, and sometimes in my own stuff I may not be able to do that. So it's a great opportunity to bring other people, and don't just bring one person in, bring several people in, and see which person is actually naturally leading you through and making the most sense. But once you start from the beginning and make sure that are you really checking off everything that you should be doing? Are you really having a very thorough plan, and are you able to track and measure that? Do you know when the results are actually showing up? I ran into a very well-known author, and I said to her, we just got in conversation, and I said, I'm curious, what's the biggest question you have around social media? And she was just kind of stumped. And I said, I'm assuming that you're using social media to promote your book. And she goes, oh, I have a question for you. How do I get 10,000 likes on my Facebook page? And I said, well, why would you want to get 10,000 likes on your Facebook page? And it was almost as if someone just took the carpet from underneath her. She didn't even know how to react to that. And it was one of those things where we were like out, walking out the door, kind of having a conversation, and she had to leave and go to her next engagement. And that night, she sent me a message through Facebook, why would I want 10,000 people to like my page? And for me, that's the wrong question. It's like, what are you trying to accomplish here? Because 10,000 likes on your Facebook page isn't necessarily going to move your brand forward. It's maybe that you had someone sign up on your page, or maybe they downloaded a chapter of your book, or maybe you drove them to a page where you would actually talk about the benefits of that book through a video and content, and telling them that there's a specific call to action. So there's so many variables as to why social media is not working for a company, that I'm not really sure that a company could even figure it out on their own. And really there's some, obviously they're the four biggest mistakes I can tell you. A, not doing social media. B, not having a plan, and C is not having an effective call to action. 95% of the world's looking to be led, and it's almost like we want people to read our minds and figure out our own sales process and naturally lead themselves through our own process, and that's not going to happen. I mean, we've got to tell them and almost beat them over the head, this is the next step. Or in our case, we always say to people, hey, it starts with a conversation. Simply call us. That's where all relationships start, is by just having a conversation. So that call to action is so valuable. And then finally, it's like, are you able to track and measure what your results? And if the answer is no to any one of those, or are you doing social media? Yes, great. Do you have a plan in place? Yes, great. Do you have do you have effective call to actions in place? Yes or no? And then finally, it's like, are you putting all these pieces together and really tracking and measuring the results so when you reach your goals? We had a company that we dealt with. They had no clue what was happening. They were telling us social media wasn't working, and we found that the majority, their list was being built. They had no answers to how that list, it was just magically being built for them somehow. What we've discovered was actually it was the content they were producing, actually finding them. I mean, they didn't even have a good call to action. I mean, I said to them, can you imagine if you have a great call to action, what could happen? So a lot of times, if you're trying to reinvent yourself, it just start from the beginning and just naturally walk through and get other people to help you, would be my recommendation.
Yeah, so much great advice there. Always really important, I think, to have those outside people be able to come in. It's, the saying, you can't see the forest for the trees, because sometimes you're just so darn close to it. It's too hard for you to be able to take a good, hard, critical look at it, and to have somebody else come in. And as I always tell people, you need somebody that you trust as well, to give you that expert advice, and that can really take that mirror of truth, so to speak, and turn it back on you and say, are you doing absolutely everything you could or should be doing to move your business or your brand forward? And oftentimes, we're telling ourselves a story that just isn't true. And so it's great to have other people come in and be able to take a good look at that and say, you're not consistent over here, or your branding is just kind of out of whack, and people are confused, or as you said, no call to action, which is probably one of the biggest challenges we see with businesses online. And it goes back to you talking about the target market, which is why it really all starts there. If you don't know who you're talking to, how in the world do you know what your call to action is going to be? You don't know what that next step is going to be, because you have no idea what their challenges are, what their needs are, and how you can really serve them at the highest and best level.
It's funny. I was just thinking that, I love analogies. If you look at a business, right, it'd be much like us trying to fix our own problems in our business would be like trying to comb our hair, or put our makeup on, or get ready to go out to an event without a mirror. It's like, as a woman, I could probably put my makeup on without a mirror. I couldn't tell you if I had everything blended, or if my lipstick was like a little off or whatever. But excuse me. It's the same thing with a man. You could comb your hair unless you're bald, right? You don't need to comb your hair, but or try to fix your tie, or make sure that your suit looks great. You always need that other person to look, or that reflection, or a mirror to look at it. And in companies, so oftentimes, it's almost a kiss of death, if you will, in a business when they say, nope, we got it all handled. We already know that. We don't need anybody to help us. We'll figure it out on our own. And we always just say, good luck with all that. Because usually even the wrong person sometimes can come in and give you some insight that maybe you didn't have before. Although I do firmly believe that the cost of misinformation is far worse than no information at all. So you want to hire people that have, or bring people in who have proven track records, who have can clearly demonstrate that they've done this for other companies. It doesn't matter if they're in their industry. I think it's really funny. I think it's an advantage when people haven't worked in your industry, because there's no preset mindset. There's nothing that is going to skew them towards your industry. I think it's better to bring someone outside of your industry. They're going to see something so different that you're like, whoa, what happened here? How come we didn't think of that? So that would be my advice, is when you bring somebody in, bring them from maybe they've worked across industries, and they can really bring best practices to you and show what their proven results have been for that brand. That's when you know you've really gotten someone that can really move a brand forward fast, just like you. I mean, I've seen you countless times come in, and even me, and go, wow, I didn't even think about that. That's brilliant.
Well, thank you for that. But yeah, just so much great advice in there. It is really critical that you take your time and identify who that person is or that team is that can best come in and support your needs, and is got that proven track record, as you said, that they've been out there in the marketplace. They understand the challenges that your particular industry or niche are facing, and they know how to quickly push you forward, to move you forward, move that needle, so to speak, because a lot of times we can get in our own way, we can get stuck in what we believe is working, and as we all know, social media, online marketing is very fluid. You've got to continue to evolve and move and really adapt to what's going on. So I love that advice of bringing that person in that can truly give you some honest feedback, but can also then say, here's how we fix it, and now here's how we move forward in a positive and productive way. So you used a word that is going to transition us into my final question for you, which was wow, and you wow me every single time we talk. So this is going to be a tough question for you, because you're going to have to limit it to just one thing, when I think there are so many things. But tell us how you put the wow in your business. Basically, what differentiates you, what separates you from your competition?
Well, I think the biggest thing really, and I hear it consistently, and I don't know if that I would even recognize this, but consistently what we hear all the time, or what I hear all the time, is just how simple we make things. We take the complex and make it simple, but more importantly, we put it inside of a system. And as we know, if you read E-Myth Revisited or Good to Great, or any of the amazing books out there, they all talk about the power of a business is really in systems. And I think that's really how we put the wow in it. We make it so simple, and we put it in a system that people can use their common sense for once, and they can actually shine as an expert, or they shine as the brand of choice. Whereas before they might be all over the place and spinning their wheels. I don't like to waste time, and I certainly don't like to waste money. So for me, at the end of the day, it has to be efficient, it has to make sense, and it has to produce a result. And that's how we're consistently doing wow in our businesses, because we're we've had over 3,000 clients, and I can tell you consistently we've doubled, tripled businesses. We've put brands on the face of the planet. We put people like Connie in front of big businesses like Microsoft. I mean, people ask all the time, well, what big brands have you worked with? Wrong question. Ask me how I took a no-name brand and made them compete against a billion-dollar brand. That's the real question, and that's how we're putting wow, because we level the playing field when it comes to brands really wanting to move online. And that's what excites me the most. I mean, for me, at the end of the day, when you see that company really accelerate and make a big difference in the world, and really convey their message in a way that generates results, that's why I get up every morning and just I'm excited about the day.
Yeah, well, I have to tell you, as I said, you wow me every single day, and just incredible insight. I'm going to go back and listen to this over and over and over again. Just so much great advice that you have shared here today. So thank you again, Sabrina, for joining me, and as always, just revealing so much about you, about your business, and everything that's working. And that other business professionals can quickly and easily translate into solid strategies within their business. So again, thank you for joining me. I truly appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'm so honored to be with you, Rebecca. I just think, I'm the #1 fan in your fan club, and I so appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you to everybody for joining us on Breakthrough Social Media Success. Sabrina, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yes, please visit me at Social Networking Rockstar. If you look at the name down below, you'll see Social Networking Rockstar. And I love to connect with you. I'm very accessible. Pretty much every single social platform out there, you can just find me by Sabrina Gibson. So on Twitter, it's at Sabrina Gibson, and Google Plus, it's plus Sabrina Gibson. Facebook, Sabrina Gibson. It's pretty much, that's who I am, and that's where you can find me.
They call that branding, right? I know, what? That's crazy. Well, again, thank you for joining us on Breakthrough Social Media Success. You can connect with me on RebeccaRadis.com, and make sure to click subscribe, join us in iTunes, and also right here on YouTube to keep up with all of my latest news and my interviews. Until next time, we'll see you then.